Hey, Solo Leveling fans, this is Chris Bolts coming out with another video. And this is some news that some of you guys have probably heard about quite a bit. But if you haven't, as you can see on the screen, Solo Leveling live action has officially been confirmed by Netflix. And it's going to be starring this guy right here as the titular character, Sung Jin Woo. Now, this is Netflix that we are talking about. So the news here is not so much that Solo Leveling live action has been announced. That much is a fait accompli after the success of seasons 1 and 2 of the anime on Crunchyroll. The only problem here is which Netflix is going to show up and is going to give us the Solo Leveling live action that we deserve here, because we all know that when it comes to Solo Leveling, or when it comes to anime in general, in Netflix and their live adaptations, they are very much more miss than hit. And just to go ahead and show that right here, I'm gonna go over here to this Screen Rant article, and we're gonna go ahead and take a look at this. I was already scrolling through it, wanting to see some of the stuff that was on there, but we're gonna go all the way back up to the top. It should be without saying that their most successful project was One Piece. And the reason why One Piece was their most successful is because Eiichiro Oda, the creator of One Piece, very much stayed involved from beginning to end of the first season of One Piece. Now, the second season is going to be coming up here in a few months. Actually, I think it comes out in 2026. We don't know if Eiichiro Oda is going to be very involved in the second season as he was in the first season. Be that as it may, the first season of One Piece was absolutely excellent. Bottom line is that it's a really good anime. So that is their peak. Are we going to be getting Solo Leveling that is going to be similar to One Piece? Is Chugong going to be very involved in the creation of Solo Leveling, or is A1 Studios going to be involved? Is Sony, is Crunchyroll, are they going to be very much involved in this adaptation? Or are they going to just be pretty much hands off? Or are we going to get something a little more shittier, kind of like Cowboy Bebop? But let's go through this list here. Their worst project, I will agree with this, is Death Note. Death Note is just complete and utter garbage. Let's hope that it doesn't come anywhere near Death Note. Further down, we have Cowboy Bebop right here. One can make an argument Cowboy Bebop is worse than Death Note. The thing is the actors that they got to portray the roles, they were fine, but the actor they got to play Spike was already 50. You guys got to get people that are a little bit younger to actually go in there and play these roles. The actress who played the female lead, I forgot her name, from the anime, she started opening her mouth about things that didn't concern the show, and it soured a lot. Combine that with the fact the creator of Cowboy Bebop distanced himself from it. Yeah, that kind of tells us what Cowboy Bebop was about. That show was just completely canceled after the first 10 episodes, and nobody missed it. Full Metal Alchemist, The Final Alchemy. I started watching the Full Metal Alchemist movie. I thought it was okay. It could have been a little better and everything, but it did not live up to anything associated with the anime, and it was utterly forgettable. Same with the first one, Full Metal Alchemist, Revenge of Scar. Not all that great at all. Then, of course, the Full Metal Alchemist that's the very first one. That actually is the best of the three. It was the one that was almost faithful to the actual first Full Metal Alchemist, not the Brotherhood, but the first one before they remade it with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It was fine. Zom 100, I did not see this one, so I'm not going to make too much of a comment on that. But if it is sitting at number 11, that kind of lets me know that it's not anything like the actual anime, which is a very fine anime, not very much original or anything. Bleach is a really good live action adaptation. It covers basically the very first time when Ichigo meets Rukia for the first time, and you see right there's Renji up in the corner with the glasses and all that. My wife and I, we watched this way back in the day when it first came out, and we actually liked it. It would have been nice if they actually followed up with another movie, but it actually, see right here, it got a 71% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and it did pretty fairly well. So I don't know why Netflix didn't follow up on this one. And that's one of the problems with Netflix as well, is that when they get a really popular show, they will just not do anything else with it. Other times they'll get that popular show and they'll give it a second season or a second movie, and the follow-up is much worse than the initial project. And a really good example of this is Umbrella Academy. The first season of Umbrella Academy, it was great, but then they followed it up with the second season and it became utterly forgettable. My wife and I tried to watch it and we just couldn't. We just had to bail out on that show. So it's sad that they didn't follow up Bleach with another movie. That would have been really cool if they did. There's another one I didn't watch right here, From Me to You, Kimi no Todoke. I didn't watch this one, so I won't make a comment on it. But if it's at number 8, or not, rather number 9, we'll go down here again right there. The Ingenuity of the House Husband. I did not watch this one. I started watching the actual anime that it's based on. I didn't find The Way of the House Husband. That's what it's based on. Didn't find it all that good, so I didn't finish that. Then we got Kakagurui, which looks like it was a really good one, such that Netflix decided they wanted to take another bite of that apple and give us Bet, which is a Americanized retelling of Kakagurui. Now, this series didn't do too hot in the terms of the ratings or anything like that. But once again, this is the inconsistency of Netflix. Netflix went in there and decided to go ahead and give Bet a second season, even though it's not doing well with the actual fans of Kakagurui. It didn't score very well. Anime News Network gave it an overall a D. You got D+, D+, and the music is C+. Netflix is giving Bet a second season, even though it's inferior to the much more appreciated live action Kakagurui. So there's that inconsistency once again from Netflix. Yu Yu Hakusho. This one scored pretty highly. Says it got the costumes right and the fight scenes, but it just had so many issues. Yu Yu Hakusho, I think, has over 100 episodes in the anime. And so there's going to be fast pacing, and you see that it was only 5 episodes and it looked very disjointed, but what was given, people appreciated it, and it scored highly on Screen Rant's list here. Netflix animated live action adaptations. Avatar, I think this one personally should be much lower than the 5 that they gave it. My wife watched it twice. I tried watching it the first few episodes and I just could not get through with them. It strays enough from the source material to start giving continuity issues with what's going on in this series versus what's going on in the animation. The one thing I will say that they get right, though, is that unlike that sorry M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong, The Last Airbender movie, the Fire Nations, they don't require an outside catalyst to throw fire. So they actually corrected that one. I appreciate that one. But Avatar: The Last Airbender is missing a lot of the charm and the comedy and levity of the animation. I would have scored Avatar: The Last Airbender lower, but this is Screen Rant's list. They said they put it at top 5. And there you go. And then we got Rurouni Kenshin, the beginning and the final. Both excellent movies. Both follow the Samurai X movies, not Rurouni Kenshin, the anime, but Samurai X. Those are the ones that they follow more closely together. And they got both of those at 4 and 3 respectively. Have no disagreements there. They're 2 fine movies. You should check those out if you haven't. And then they got it correct for the top 2. Alice in Borderland. I can be convinced that this should actually be ahead of One Piece, because Alice in Borderland, the first season and second season, are excellently written. The characters are well developed. All these characters are wonderful. I love this live action adaptation of the manga. And then we got One Piece, as I was talking about beforehand. This is the thing about Netflix. We don't know which one we're going to get when it comes to Solo Leveling. I hope that we get the Netflix that is more closer to One Piece and Alice in Borderland and Rurouni Kenshin, and not the one that is closer to Cowboy Bebop and Death Note. We'll see which one's going to make an appearance. Now, this was just barely announced, so I wouldn't anticipate that Solo Leveling live action will not get to us until at least 2027 at the earliest. And going back to what I was mentioning earlier regarding the age of some of these and the time period between the first season and the second season, Netflix needs to work on that. They need to try to get younger actors to play these roles. It looks like he's already going to be the guy right here who's going to be playing Sung Jin-woo. He looks like he's already in his mid to late 20s. And I think in the manhwa, Sung Jin-woo was kind of around, 22, maybe 23, 24, around there. By the time they finish filming, he's probably going to be in his 30s. And then on top of that, it takes about 2 to 3 years to get the second season out. You need to push that in a little bit more. Try to get more back to the traditional model of television, back before streaming was the main place for people to go and watch television. We had these things that were called seasons. The television studios would create one season, and then they'll have a hiatus about 2-3 months, and then they will come right back in with the second season. So that way it stays not only within the cultural zeitgeist, but they're able to get the entire story told within a reasonable time frame. If you go back and look at some of the major ones that have been around for a long time, such as Grey's Anatomy, which is, I think, is on season 17, or even further back from that, Gunsmoke, which lasted for 21 seasons. Netflix needs to get closer to that. Not saying that we need 20 seasons of Solo Leveling live action, but we need these to be done in a reasonable time frame so the story can be told while the actors and actresses playing these characters are still young. But those are my thoughts on that. What do you guys think about this? Are you guys excited about Netflix coming in, getting ready to do a Solo Leveling live action? Or are you approaching this with cautious optimism? Or are you full of trepidation that Netflix is about to mess up another anime with their live action adaptations? Whatever your position is, jump down in the comments and let's go ahead and have a conversation on that. And make sure you guys do like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really helps me out. And remember, this is Chris Bolts signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video. You take it easy.